Ba-ba-da-bow-bow, Banger Management Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Woo!
Woo! Woo!
Ça sent la coupe.
Oh yes, ça sent la coupe. Welcome in everybody to Banger Management, the fantasy hockey podcast. Your favorite Montreal Canadiens fans out there. No. Okay, I jest. We don't want to go. We don't want to be labeled too big of homers and lose all our credibility. But are we not the best team in the league right now?
It's funny. I think so. First, we got called out for being homers, and then we got called out for being like, we're not going to be homers, but then still being homers.
Yeah.
And now we're saying, we're just keep doubling down on saying we're not homers, but also being homers. But at this point in the playoffs, there's only 4 teams to be homers about, so it's okay.
I was gonna say I feel like we do a genuinely good job at like being non-biased, and when we have to critique them, we critique them, and we have to be realistic. But we're in the semifinals, if you will, at this point, right? Like the team is good. We're allowed to be happy about it.
Yeah, I'd say during the regular season / fantasy season, we're 100% impartial for the most part. Like, I feel like we're just talking straight fantasy, straight numbers, all that stuff. Once playoffs comes around, I mean, you've seen my bracket every single year. It's always Habs winning the cup. So that's the same energy I bring to the pod.
Don't put me in the same boat. I don't put the Habs winning the cup.
We're not the same. I'm alone on this boat. I mean, Jakey's been rooting against us the whole way, but...
Yeah. Jakey, I think he's Dr. Reverse Psychology out here. I feel like he always picked against the Habs.
He loves to hedge. He loves to hedge in fantasy. That was the one year that he got, this is probably 2 years ago, he had first overall pick and I had second overall pick. Yeah. And he ended up taking Matthews first, I think, and I took McDavid.
Yeah, we all laughed at him.
Yeah, and I remember talking to him before the draft, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, I got first overall pick in like 3 of my leagues. Yeah. I know I'm going to take McDavid in those other 2 leagues, so I want to maybe hedge my bets and go with Matthews. And I was like, yeah, that's great. You should definitely do that. And I mean, at this point, he was in the midst of his Masters of Finance, so, they were just learning about hedging and all that stuff. Yeah, and he likes to put a lot of time, like, put comparisons with, like, finance and stock market and fantasy and all that. And he's like, yeah, if he does well, I'll be happy anyways because of my 2 other leagues. And I'm like, that is such a good point.
You should do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure you hit your shares of Stuart Skinner and stuff too. Make sure you get him in the second round or something. But,
exactly.
Jakey clearly needs to stick to finance and not draft Austin Matthews in fantasy.
At least not first overall.
Yeah, not first overall. But listen, we got a lot of good series to talk about. Obviously, we are recording this the day after the Habs triumphant Game 7 win.
This is the second episode that we're recording after a Habs Game 7 win.
I mean, it just falls like that, right? We have no choice, but I'm not upset about it.
No.
Literally, first of all, I'm watching it with my friends in my apartment, and we're all like, at this point in the third period, we were getting dominated. It did not look good. I was like, I'm visualizing us losing. Like,
I know.
I can see it happening.
I know. And
then the goal happens and everything. I'm just like, oh my God.
It's crazy. I mean, we should probably do the intro and then we'll dive into it a bit more. But I had my dad and grandparents were visiting, like just coming to visit and see where my new place and all that stuff. And so we were watching the game together. And the entire like pretty much from mid first period to when we scored, the Habs were just playing like garbage. I'll be honest, they were not good, and we're all just sitting there. Like, just put us out of our misery. We know it's, they scored.
We had moments, though.
Yeah.
It was 2-0. Texier had a breakaway that he missed.
We had 3 breakaways. Anderson had 2, I think. Yeah. It was crazy. But so we're just sitting there through the second and third period, which were awful periods for the Habs. And they score their first goal in the second period. And they score their second and third. And I'm just sitting there, and we're all just like, we know it's going to happen. Yeah. So, and then it goes to overtime. We're like, I can't believe you're making us stay up late just to get eliminated and disappoint us. And then it goes in. All that's out the window. We're the best team in the world. Never doubted once in my life.
That's Josh's like motto. Like, never doubted once. But you see like the depression in the group chat like 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've been a little bit less present in the Discord. Like, work has been crazy. I'm like training for some stuff. But I always pop in like before the Habs game day, and people are asking me like, the boys, like, how you guys doing? How you guys feeling before the game? And then I'll chime in. I'll be like, I feel terrible. My heart is very beating fast, and then I have to go in there to celebrate. So if you're not already in the Discord, make sure you join. I know it's the off season, and if you're listening to this episode right now, you are a diehard fan. Yeah. Either you're missing some fantasy hockey in your life, and I know it's the off season, but we're all enjoying playoff hockey.
Or you're just missing us,
Yeah, that too. You're missing us. Speaking of missing us, Jakey's also missing us. He's caught up with some work, so you have to settle for Josh and I today, the 2 best hosts in the trio. at least, you know. But yeah, no, what a win. Okay, so let's start diving in. I mean, before we dive in, I'll give a little, you know, guys, if you're watching this, we know you like the episodes. You're fans. It's the off season. You don't have to listen to these, but you do. So make sure you drop us a follow on either Spotify or Apple, and on YouTube, just like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And now with that out of the way, let's talk about these matchups. Okay, let's start with the Habs. Habs Buffalo.
Whoa. As much as I would love to dive in, do you want to give a status update on the office polls and the bracket challenge?
Okay. I mean, I didn't want to because my team is dog water, but all right. Going into the bracket challenge, we have a few teams that are still alive. Team number 1, last time I did a bracket challenge update, Reader's bracket, Reader 15, was in first place, and he is still in first place. He has Carolina winning the cup.
Boo.
And his final 4 is all alive. He's got Carolina versus Avalanche. He did have the Oilers instead of Vegas, so that didn't happen. But right now he's ranked in first place. We got, I don't think this bracket was in second last time, but Champ, who I believe is also a Habs fan, so
yeah,
represent. He's got Colorado beating Carolina in the finals. So
fake fan.
Yeah, fake fan. And then after that, we have Broncos bracket, who is in third place, but he's got the Oilers winning it all, so I feel like it's going to be tough to take it. But he's got the Habs making the finals. The 2 brackets ahead of him have Carolina, so maybe that'll be a little bit of a difference maker there. I really feel like at this point, the top 2 are the ones that will end up taking it.
I'm starting to think that there's an actual conspiracy theory at the NHL that they wouldn't let me submit a bracket the one year where I sniped almost everything. I make a bracket every year. This year it was glitching on me nonstop. You know, I tried to submit a bracket like 10 times. I even shared my screen with you and showed you like the login loop I was getting stuck in. It wasn't working, so I didn't submit it. But this is my top 4 that I had. So it's
Well, you had
crazy.
Vegas in the final 4?
I had Edmonton beating Anaheim, but I had Vegas beating Edmonton. So this is my my exact top 4, and then I had Montreal, Colorado, and obviously I had Montreal winning it all. So we'll see what happens. But if I get cheated out of my my winnings because of the NHL glitching, I'll be pretty. Actually, you know what? I'll be happy anyways. If the Habs win the cup, I don't even care.
Did you have Dallas beating Minnesota, or did you have Minnesota beating Dallas?
I had Minnesota over Dallas. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm looking at the bracket right now, and the top bracket that has the Habs winning it all is a Scare Bears bracket, and he's got Montreal beating Colorado in the Stanley Cup final. He did have Oilers instead of Vegas in the final 4. So listen, if Montreal wins it all, I'm giving the bracket challenge to Josh, because clearly his bracket would have been the best if he did submit one. But Scare Bear will actually have the actual win.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the office polls. How's that going?
Yeah, office polls. We got some major changes. I talked about how round by round the scoring changes a lot with teams getting eliminated and other players playing more games. We have a new top-ranked team. We have Noah Friedman, who is currently leading the office pools challenge. He's got 601 points. On his team, he has most of his team is alive. He has a Habs stack. He has Dobesh, obviously. He's got Noah Dobson, Lane Hudson, then the Caulfield Suzuki Slav. So he's got pretty strong with the Habs representation there. He also went all in on Vegas. So he's got Eichel, Dorofeyev, Marner, Stone. And then he has Rasmus Anderson. And he also has a Colorado stack. So he's got like the most players alive. He had his 4 teams that he went in on were Colorado, Vegas, Pittsburgh, and Montreal. Okay. So he lost the Pittsburgh players, but since he has so many players still alive, I think Vegas was a very unpopular option.
Okay.
So the fact that he has the stack.
If the Habs beat Carolina, it sounds like he probably has it in the bag.
I think he does. And then in second place we have Eric N. Team name is Enzanimal. He's 3 points behind Noah Friedman in the standings, but he has a significant chunk of his roster that is out of it. He's got Dobesh, and then he had a lot of Minnesota, and he had a lot of Utah.
Okay, Dobesh has to be one of the best picks in office pools this year.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Go hard on the Habs and they make it far.
Yeah. That's one interesting thing with the office polls, though, is that the effect of your guys getting eliminated is not immediate, right? You have to wait an entire round before it really kind of sets in. So
as the games pile on,
that's it. So you have like if he's in second place, but a bunch of his guys got eliminated, he's not going to be in second place at the end of this round. So it's a bit of a delayed reaction there. But yeah, cool. So
Blake, I was just gonna say Blake Creamer, who was leading the office pools challenge thus far, he's now fallen to third place. He's 7 points behind the top leading candidate. He lost a lot of the, obviously the Minnesota stack, and he had some Buffalo guys too. He still got the Carolina. He still got the
Yeah, but
Stankoven. He still got
Carolina, like
Aho.
they
He's
could
got
finish. They
Anderson.
they could go all the way and still play fewer games than teams that only like how they can play fewer games than the Habs, right? No, if they swept both their, yeah, obviously don't want this to happen, but if they
Yeah, yeah.
swept both their next rounds, or the swept and got swept, then they'd end up playing fewer games than the Habs, and they would
It's
play
crazy,
a
right?
round more. Yeah,
They're not gonna sweep the Habs.
no, no.
So, do we use that as our segue to talk about the
Yes.
series?
All right, let's dive into what's going on. We've got our round 3 matchups, our conference finals. We'll start with the East, Carolina, Montreal. First, let's talk about how we got here. Not
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about Carolina, how they got here, because we talked about it last episode, because they've been
Yep.
essentially on ice for the past 2 weeks, just waiting and hopefully, getting out of shape. But I don't think
I
Rod
hope
would let
so.
that happen.
Mentally out
But
of the game.
yeah, exactly. And then we got Montreal. We talked about it a bit at the start of the episode because we couldn't help ourselves. But Habs in 7. Look, all I'm going to say is ever since I put this license plate up behind me, every single series the Habs have been in, they've won in 7.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And there's
coincidence?
been 2. We're seeing a pattern.
Exactly. So, no, last night was crazy. Definitely think it was one of the worst games we played this playoffs. I don't think we
Like
deserved.
last game 7.
That's it. I was gonna say the 2 game 7s are 2 of the worst games we played this playoffs, but that's what makes playoff winners, right? Is when winning games that you don't deserve to win. I will say overall in the series, I still feel like it's a well-deserved win.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was some games that the Sabres won that I thought the Habs deserved to win, and this game the Sabres deserved to win, but the Habs won. So I'm not going to take away from what we did, but it definitely was not the most pleasant game to watch as a Habs fan until right at the end. And I was watching with my dad, and I don't know, I don't know if everyone does this. I feel like most people do, but going into overtime, you kind of predict who you think the winner is going to be, like who's going to score the OT winner.
Yeah.
And I called Alex Newhook. I have
Really?
witnesses. I did. Yeah.
I
was
believe
like,
you for sure.
he was just on fire all series, and I felt like he had been quiet for a game or two. And I never like picking the top guys because I feel like it's too obvious.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I sniped Newhook as the game winner. Everyone should have seen it coming with that huge snipe. But I honestly, watching the replay, that was such a knuckle puck. That was
Yeah.
But that's what you need. You need the bounce. It's the same as his game winner in Game 7. It
You
was
gotta take a shot.
yeah, that's it. That's overtime, right?
Yeah.
Playoff overtime. Just get the shot on net. You never know what's gonna happen, and that's what he did, and it was awesome.
One of my friends called the Newhook goal. I thought it'd be like a scrappy, like a Caden Gooley or like a Mike Matheson type of thing, where it was just like you don't expect it and the puck goes in.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did not feel confident. Obviously,
No.
I'm just happy we got it done. And honestly, the sigh of relief after the goal went in. First of all, it was lots of jumping and lots of screaming, and that was amazing. And I live, as some people know, as I docked myself in the past. If you don't want to know where I live, go listen to previous episodes. But I live near the downtown. I live near downtown Montreal, and I have a balcony overseeing one of the main streets, and I could hear people outside going crazy.
Well, the honks were nuts. Right.
The honks were nuts. Right after we saw that, I would say 20 minutes after the end of the game, we were like, F it. We're just going to go downtown and like revel in it. So with me and all my friends, we literally went and we walked all the way downtown. It was like a 15-minute walk, and we're just there in the crowds, and everybody's honking their horns, everybody's screaming, everybody's singing, crowds everywhere. There was a lot of cops, a lot of police. I think there was some riots. We had like just missed those.
I saw I saw videos of like riot police with tear gas and stuff like that.
It was
I'm
honestly
glad he didn't get caught up in that.
No, I think we showed up right after, which was, I guess, a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But if I lived any closer, then maybe I would have been in trouble. But honestly, it was just fantastic. It's honestly just, I feel like I'm talking and people are not going to care. But I feel like it's such a privilege to live in a city that cares so much about this, where like you see the whole city, like the heartbeat is this team. And when it's going well and the teams can, people can rally around like this hockey team that's doing well. Like, there's nothing like it. You walk down the street, like, even not on game days, like, everybody's got a jersey on. Everybody's excited about the game. People that never watch hockey are watching hockey. Like, my girlfriend does not care about hockey. She's watching every game with me for the playoffs, and she's, like, looking forward to the next game.
Yeah.
It's honestly just a beautiful thing how it brings people together. And I feel very lucky that we live in a city. I mean, I live in a city now, that you grew up in a city that really loves hockey the way that it does, and that has a team that like the Montreal Canadiens. So feel very lucky, and I'm just happy we made it. We deserve it.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to experience that experience in 2021 when we made the finals and I was living downtown, because it's crazy. You hear about, the city coming alive and all that, but to actually be in the heart of it and feel it and just see, like you said, every single person in the city, whether you're a hockey fan or not, although
Mm-hmm.
most probably are,
Yeah.
you at this point, if the Habs make it this far, everyone knows and cares and is talking about it and is living and breathing it. So it's awesome.
And did you see like the earthquake stuff from like after the goal that there was like a mini earthquake that happened because everybody jumped at the same time?
Are
And it
you
was like
serious?
it actually got recorded. I think it was like a point 0.5 earthquake on the Richter scale or something like that that like got recorded, which is
That's
very small,
crazy.
obviously, but
Yeah, that's
still the
still
fact that that even
crazy.
happened.
Yeah,
Don't quote me, but I saw a post about it.
I like it. I like it. Let's run with it.
So I mean, listen, I feel like our studs have still not really come to play yet. And is that good that we've come this far and still, potential for more out of these guys? Or should we start being worried?
I
And like
think,
we talked about, Carolina, almost 2 weeks off at this point.
yeah,
Is that going to come into play?
I think that's a testament to how good our depth is,
Mm-hmm.
how well they've performed, and how many clutch depth guys we have, which obviously is super important to get you through the playoffs. I still am of the opinion that if the top line doesn't wake up at even strength, we can't go all the way. I just think it's how are you going to beat a team whose top line does show
Mm-hmm.
up when yours doesn't?
Yeah.
And in the Tampa series, we gave them the excuse that Cirelli and Tampa's system and all
Shut them
that was
down.
just completely shutting them down, and it was just kind of suffocating. And I stand by that. You could tell by the scores of that series versus the scores of the Buffalo games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Buffalo games were wide open. Every goals were flying left and right. Obviously, a lot of power play goals on both sides, and the top guys did get involved in the power play, so we'll give them credit there. But still, barely saw any 5v5 contribution from them, and we're gonna need more. And it's kind of crazy because we talk about Tampa system being suffocating, then Buffalo, even though they don't have that suffocating system, they do have one of the top D cores in the league. And now
Mm-hmm.
we're going against Carolina, who allows almost zero shots and
Yeah.
also plays this suffocating system. So they're gonna have to figure it out. It's never gonna be a cakewalk. It's not the regular season. I was watching with my grandparents last night, and they're really funny. Every time Caulfield would do something and just wouldn't score, right? They're like, this guy
Yeah.
scored 51 goals in the regular
Yeah.
season. Where is he for the playoffs? And I'm like, I know. It's
He
crazy,
had a
but
lot of shots last game, though.
he's having fantastic chances. But these are the type of chances that regular season he was putting those in the net.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just a luck thing. I don't know if it's there's just that much less space out there. I don't know if the goalie is just situational,
Mm-hmm.
coincidence, whatever. But he's just not putting those in the net, and he needs to for us to win.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. And again, we talked about this last episode. Carolina's in a kind of similar boat. Obviously, the sample size is way smaller, but their top guys haven't really done much either at 5v5. Whereas their top scorers are their second line, kind of like us with Newhook.
Mm-hmm.
Evans has actually been really good. They said
Mm-hmm.
last night that Evans on a 5-game point streak. I did
Mm-hmm.
not realize that. I knew he
No,
was
me
plus
neither.
9. I knew he was amazing defensively, but contributing on offense also is really impressive. And yeah, it's going to be a really interesting series. Let's dive into the series a bit.
Yep.
This coming up. So Carolina, Montreal. Carolina was first in the Metro. Montreal third in the Atlantic. On the topic of that, Montreal finished 6th in the league.
Yep.
Right. Our
No home
reward
ice
for that.
advantage.
No, we are unless we play Vegas in the finals. If we win this series and go up against Colorado in the finals, we'll be a 6th place in the entire league team that made it through 4 rounds without having home ice advantage. Because
Yep.
we had to play the 5th place team, we had to play the 4th place team. Now we're playing the 2nd place team, and if we play Colorado, that'll be the 1st place team. That's insane. Like that's got to be the first time that's ever happened. I can't imagine that's happened before.
I can't imagine that's happened before. Besides, if there was like a 8th seed at some point that made a run, I don't know if in like the last decade if there was like some of those West teams that did that, but I don't know, man. It's honestly crazy. I keep thinking about that. I keep thinking about how Pittsburgh played Philly. I keep thinking about
Yeah.
like how this system makes no sense,
Yeah.
and it's honestly it's a little frustrating. But at the end of the day, listen, you play who's in front of you, and the fact that we've
We're
already
still here.
defeated two big teams, it's hopefully going to pay dividends now that we've fought really hard fought series, and
gotta
maybe
give them
Carolina is
confidence.
gonna have a wake up call playing against a
Yeah.
team that can actually shoot back. I don't know.
Look, I think Carolina's still the heavy favorite, and I'll be honest. I'm still
Yeah.
obviously predicting the Habs and rooting for the Habs, obviously, but I do still think they're a heavy favorite. But Habs have got to have a lot of confidence after coming through 2 really strong teams. And Carolina, maybe they'll underestimate us because of the whole narrative of them just
Yeah.
everyone saying, "Oh, Carolina and 4," you know. So it's maybe they'll let that get to their heads. They've just swept 2 series. They must be feeling pretty high. No
Yeah.
shade to Philly or Ottawa, but neither of them was really
Yeah.
expected to make the playoffs
Mhm.
before a couple weeks into the playoffs where they both went on decent runs. So I don't think it's the same beast at all. I think those are probably 2 of the easiest matchups this playoffs. So I'm hoping that Montreal could be a big slap in the face to Carolina. But there's obviously the whole rest component. But we talked about that last episode. That's
Yeah.
going to be the big talking point. Everyone's going to be talking about, 2 weeks rest versus no rests, 8 games versus 14 games. At the end of the day, I think that whatever I think it's not really going to affect the series that much. Whoever's the better team's going to win, and then
Yeah.
whoever comes out of it, the people that if Montreal comes out of it, everyone's going to be like, see, that's why you want to be more momentum and having played more recently. If
Yeah.
Carolina wins, everyone's going to say, oh, that's why you want to be more well
Rest.
rested. But it's just going to be based on who wins. It's just going to be confirmation bias. So not putting too much stock in it. But back into the numbers, the season series between Montreal and Carolina. Do you want to guess, or did you already look?
I already saw, but I already
Okay.
knew.
Okay. Montreal 3, Carolina 0. We beat them. I know the first game was 7-5 Habs. Second game was 5-2. I can't remember what the score of the third one was, but those were some pretty high scoring games. I
Yeah.
doubt we're going to see that this series, but you never know. And then in terms of the leaders from the regular season, Caulfield and Suzuki. Caulfield had 51 goals, Suzuki 72 assists, 101 points, versus Jarvis with 32 goals, Aho with 53 assists and 80 points. So, I mean, this is just a classic Rod team type of thing, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot where they just don't have any. They do have superstars, but they don't produce like superstars because Rod distributes the ice so evenly. And then looking at their goalies, so in the regular season, Freddie Anderson was .874, 3.05 goals against average. Whereas,
Horrible.
Yeah, terrible. He had a terrible season right until the last month. And then Dobish, .901 and 2.78 goals against average. So Dobish had the edge in the regular season. And we'll talk in a sec. Actually, we could just talk about the playoff
talk about it now.
playoff stats too. So Freddie in the playoffs so far, .95 save percentage, 1.12 goals against average.
That's
truly
disgusting.
absurd. Truly
It's
absurd.
disgusting.
But I mean, it makes sense when you've only won all your games, right? So 8-0 is pretty, it's going to lead to some pretty good goalie stats, but those are absurd. And then Dobish, .91 save percentage, 2.52 goals against average. For 2 series that went to 7, that's really impressive because that includes all the losses. That includes the 8-3 loss that we took to Buffalo, right? So that's very impressive. And then power play ranking, Carolina finished season 4th, Habs 10th, and then penalty kill, Carolina was 11th and Habs 19th. So definitely a special teams advantage to Carolina. I felt
it's so close, right? If you look at the percentages, it's
close.
like 2% difference in power play and 2% difference in PK. Like it's very negligible.
I do feel like special teams was a big part of the Habs Buffalo series.
Yeah.
I felt that the games that we lost was because of special teams. But I don't necessarily feel the games we won were because of special teams, if that makes sense.
No.
And I'm not saying that they were better than us because we had a pretty great power play, but so did they. I think they were pretty even, but it was just the games that we lost, it felt like their special teams showed up and our didn't, and that's what made the difference. So it's I think it gets less and less important as the playoffs go on because the refs kind of swallow their whistles more. I mean, you saw how the game 7s were refed versus how rest of series was refed, right?
Yeah, they completely did not call a goalie interference where the guy just like rammed through Dobish and the refs were blind, I guess. I don't know.
And then it led to Buffalo's second goal.
Yeah.
Right
I
after.
understand like not wanting to decide the game with a penalty, but at a certain point, like if it's obvious, you have to call it. And especially if it's on a goalie, you have to protect the goalies too. What's stopping the next guy from doing the same thing because it wasn't called the first time, right? So
yeah, I mean that already happened earlier this series, right? Where they just got the 2-minute penalty for ridiculous goalie interference, and it's just if you don't punish them for goalie interference, like the cost of knocking out your opponent's number 1 goalie who's stealing games for 2-minute penalty is just I would take that every day of the week. I'd be telling my players keep running the goalie because we can,
some Jack guy who played a minute 52 and run down the goalie and
exactly. I mean, look,
oh, no.
even if it costs you that one game by taking a bunch of penalties, knock their goalie out of the series. And obviously, this is me saying that shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah.
But if the refs don't control players, what's stopping the coaches from saying that? So the refs are ridiculous, but still, it was really nice watching a game where they kind of just let it play out, right? It's so frustrating watching games where there's tons of penalties on both sides. So I do like that, and I'm looking forward to hopefully the next 2 rounds being less decided by the refs.
Yeah. I have some serious thoughts about this next series though, because I feel like it gives me like a Tampa type of team vibes where it's like, they have a lot of structure, they have a lot of system, and they do what they're good at and they do it very well type of thing.
Yeah.
And Carolina's doesn't have the superstar talent that Tampa does, but it kind of feels like that same type of team where it's just like, we'll win by playing like perfect playoff hockey, and that's what's going to happen. And the fact that we already beat a team like that encourages me. the fact that, Carolina's offense hasn't been their studs have not been their studs necessarily encourages me. It makes us kind of feel like it's a level playing field. And I just feel like we have a big edge in goaltending. I know Freddie's
Yeah.
got the big stats right now. He's played 8 games, he's won all 8 of them, but it's still Freddie Anderson. We have a big enough sample size of him playing hockey in recent years to know that like it feels like at the snap of a fingers everything could go wrong and he could fall
Yeah.
apart. I have no doubt in my mind that Dobesh will not fall apart. Well, look what happened against Buffalo the other game. He bounced back. I'm really confident in Dobesh. I feel like he's just. I saw people talk about it, but he's hit like rock star status. Like you saw his comments after
Yeah.
the game, like I can play
Yeah.
40 more. I
Yeah.
can keep going. He's so cool.
I know. He's a rookie. He's
Yeah.
24. It's crazy.
And so I really like our chances. I still think that Carolina, like on paper, they have the edge, right? Like they've performed for years. They've been here before. They're well rested. They've won all their games. Like this is a team that has performed at this level consistently. So we're gonna be the underdogs, rightfully so. But I still like our chances, and I don't think we're gonna be big underdogs. So
Yeah, I think that's a great point on Freddie and Dovish. I think that Carolina, like the comparison to Tampa, I think Carolina has a lot better defense than Tampa does
yeah,
this year,
absolutely.
especially like I was talking about that before the Tampa series, that although they play a very strong defensive game, I didn't think their D-core was actually that strong. Like obviously they have Radish and Moser, but that was
Mhm.
pretty much it, I felt. Whereas Carolina, I think, is really strong defensively,
Yeah,
but the goaltending, Vasilevsky versus Freddie Anderson,
yeah.
is night and day. And you saw what we can do against goalies who are a bit shaky, right? You saw what we did in the
Hmm.
Buffalo series, what we did to
Yeah.
Lyon. They were switching back and forth between Lyon and
Yep.
UPL. So I do not believe these Freddie Anderson stats for a second. Look,
Yep.
maybe I'll come to, I think it's going to be the Habs to break them, but if not, it's going to be Colorado/Vegas. This
Yeah.
guy's
Yeah.
not that good. We saw how he played. It's not just recent years. This year, he was awful. He was a free, in talking fantasy, he was a free agent in fantasy almost the entire year, because he was so bad. Every
He was
single
dropping
game he would start,
8-7.
every single game he would play, he was playing terrible. So I just don't believe in it for a second. I think he's just benefiting a lot from the Hurricanes doubling down on their defense because it's the playoffs. I think
Mhm.
they had weaker opponents,
Mhm.
and I think the Habs are going to break him. And I think we're going to see Brandon Bussey in this series.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it might not be in game one. He might have a stellar game one,
Yeah.
all the rest and everything like that. It might not be game two, but I feel like at some point in this series, he will break. And can he bounce back after breaking like that? Or are they going to go for a goalie change? Like, that's when the questions start. Like, let's say he gets wrecked in game one. Are you
Yeah.
going to Brandon Bussey already in game two after Freddie just had 8 incredible games? Do you go back to Freddie? And then let's say he has another disappointing game and they still win or something like that. Then you're like, okay, now we have the question. At a certain point, you can't have the question anymore, and you're in a pickle.
I think if game one he gets blown out, I think they still go to him game two. But if he has another bad game, even if it's not a blowout, just like a bad game, I think they put Bussy in game three.
Mhm.
If it's later on in the series where they have less wiggle room, they might not give him that second
Yeah.
game. But if it's right off the bat, I could see them being like, "Oh, he's rusty, whatever," from not playing for a bit. So I think he's bought himself that extra game with how he's played so far in the playoffs. But I think that's just better for us. So we'll see.
And
I don't want to end up biting my, ending up regretting
Yeah.
saying this. And he has a stellar series, but I just don't believe it with how bad he's been all year.
And I don't wanna jinx anything or put anything into the universe, but I did not have Mark Stone getting hurt on my bingo card, but I do have Freddie Anderson getting out here. It would just be too poetic that that's what happens when he finally gets like pushed to a limit or something.
Yeah,
Listen, I do not wish injury upon him, but
yeah.
I would not be surprised if something
No,
happened.
me
Obviously.
neither. All right, so my prediction for this series, as it says
Mm-hmm.
behind me, Habs in 7.
Yeah.
It's too predictable at this point. They're just running it
Yeah.
back. I will say the Habs, one thing that I've been very disappointed in this playoffs is I just feel like they have no killer instinct. They've had
Mhm.
so many chances to just put away their opponents. They've been up against Tampa, they were up 1-0, 2-1, and 3-2 series. Against Buffalo, they were up 2-1, 3-2 series. In the game 6, they were up 3-1. In game
Mhm.
7, they were up 2-0. All these situations where they have their opponents on the brink of elimination and just being able to coast the rest of the series, they falter and give their opponent a chance to claw back into it. So I
Mhm.
just don't see a way that Habs, who are already underdogs in the series, don't take it 7 games to do it.
Yeah.
But I would love for them to learn from their mistakes and prove me wrong.
I think this series goes to 6 or 7 games, obviously. I also have Montreal in 7.
Eh.
Shocker, right? But I do believe that the longer this series goes, the better the Habs' chances get.
Really?
And I agree with you that we do not have the killer instinct yet, but we've had 2 incredible tough rounds to develop that killer instinct. And we might not have the killer instinct, but we do have resiliency. Have never lost 2 games in a row these playoffs yet. It shows that no matter how bad we get beaten down in one game, short-term memory, the next game, we're still confident and we can still show up, which is honestly might be even more important than the killer instinct. So I like that we have that. Listen, if one team had to win in like 4 or 5 games, it's probably going to be Carolina. But I feel like if it goes 7, the power of friendship kicks in. So
Yeah, exactly.
I want to say one thing before we move on to the next series.
Yeah.
And as anybody would do when their favorite team wins a series, they will go look at the online chatter
Oh,
after
yeah.
the game and see what everybody's talking about. And I have not really like participated in any of that ever, but I like seeing what people are saying. I
Yeah,
like
same.
also, I have an optimistic view about most other fan bases that like the majority of their fans are reasonable people, but man, I've seen so many Leafs fans hating on us, and I know we have some good Leafs fans in the Discord server, and I love you guys. But man, like some of you guys are giving yourselves a bad rep. I've only seen like Habs are so lucky. This team does not deserve to be here. They won with luck. Buffalo got shafted. So many goals ruled out. Like, first of all, the goal that they're complaining about being ruled out, the ref whistled and the guy poked Dobesh when the puck was not even visible or anything like that. Like you can't do that. So I had no qualms of like Buffalo not getting the goal there. I did not
Yeah.
think it was a goal at all. But I've just seen so many people complain about the no goal as well, saying it was a kicking motion and whatever. Like, are we watching the same tape? Like he didn't. I feel like he didn't even move. His foot moved backwards because the puck hit it, and he like
Yeah.
redirected it into the net. So I just feel like when you're trying to argue things that seem clearly visible, when everybody else agrees, the NHL agrees, like they review it. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of salty Leafs fans, and then I'm seeing these salty Leafs fans argue with other people in the comment section, and I'm just like, dang, like some of these people have like they're either trying to just rage bait and get people to interact with them, or they're just really like they can't acknowledge, a rival's success. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have those in every fan base. I also go online, look at all this stuff, and
Oh, Habs fans are like
it's
that too, for
yeah,
sure, one hundred
exactly. Yeah,
percent.
it's everywhere, but it is funny when it's fans that are not of either team that's in the series
Yeah,
because chiming in. But yeah, for me, if I hate a team, I hate from afar. I don't leave comments. I just it's all
yeah,
in
but
my
I'm also
head.
realistic. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
have
yeah,
my own
yeah,
opinions about the game and what
yeah.
happened, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, this team is just beat the Buffalo and Tampa with the pure luck. You know what I mean? Nobody wins a
Yeah.
7-game series off of luck.
No, it's
If
the
you win a
power of
7-game
friendship.
series, yeah, you were the better team, and luck is just because it wasn't chalk, quote
Yeah,
unquote. If it's not
yeah,
chalk, people are gonna say you guys got lucky. It's not about luck; it's
yeah.
about showing up on the ice.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. Let's get to the Western Conference Finals. We've got the Colorado Avalanche versus the Vegas Golden Knights, both one seeds of their divisions. The season series, Colorado won 2-1 versus Vegas. In terms of the regular season, McKinnon was their leader in goals, assists, and points with 127 points. Dorofeyev was Vegas' leading goal scorer with 37, and then Eichel had the most assists and points with 90. So big edge, obviously, to McKinnon in general, but still pretty nice numbers from Vegas. And then for Colorado's goaltending, in the regular season, it was Scott Wedgwood, 0.921, 2.02, pretty unreal. Carter Hart in the regular season was 0.89, 2.71, not the most impressive, but decent.
very bad.
And then obviously special teams we talked about a lot, but power play, Colorado 28th versus Vegas 6th, but penalty kill, Colorado 1 versus Vegas 6th as well. Got to keep, I mean, it's tough because I feel like Colorado's power play has actually been really solid in the playoffs.
Hmm.
So obviously based on these stats, you'd give the edge to Vegas, but
Yeah.
And we'll getting to the injuries. Colorado's pretty healthy right now. Vegas doesn't have Mark Stone or Jeremy Lauzon. Obviously, the
Hmm.
big name there is Jeremy Lauzon, but obviously, huge name there is Mark Stone. Again, I said in the past, I'm not surprised he's injured, but
Mm-mm.
I also wouldn't be surprised if he comes back.
No.
So we'll see what happens there, but that's a big loss. And yeah, I think you still got to give the specialty edge to Vegas, but I don't think
The
Colorado.
specialty?
Damn it! It's because well, at least I didn't say specialty teams. I just said
It's
specialty in
true.
general.
You're improving. You're not
Yeah,
there yet.
exactly. Yeah, we'll give the special teams advantage to Vegas, but Colorado's really putting up solid power play numbers this playoffs, and that was their one weakness. So it's
Yeah,
kind of scary. And
it is.
talking about the goalies for Colorado, real quick. Who do you think starting game one? Is it going to be Wedgwood or Blackwood? In the playoffs, Wedgwood has a .914, 2.21 goals against average. Blackwood has a .872 and 3.2 goals against average. So Wedge obviously has way better stats, but Blackwood
Hmm.
played the last couple games for Colorado and got them to where they are now. And
Yeah.
just to give comparison, on Vegas' side, they've played hard all the way, .97 to .917 save percentage and 2.37 goals against average. So he's having a really strong playoffs.
It's tough because I think because they won against Minnesota in 5 games, and they've had a decent amount of rest. I think they just reset and they go back to Wedgwood, to be
Okay.
honest. That's what I think. I believe I was wrong the last time I tried to predict the goalie rotation for Colorado these playoffs, but Blackwood has not necessarily been super impressive either. I know he got the win under his belt, but I feel like it was more about the team and less about his performance.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Like, let's talk about, I guess, the how we get here.
How we got here. So let's start with Colorado. Colorado versus Minnesota ended in 5.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see that coming. I thought Colorado was going to win. I thought Minnesota was going to put up more of a fight, and that's what makes Colorado so scary to me. Look, them sweeping LA is nothing. That's
Yeah.
NHL team beating an AHL team, but beating Minnesota in 5. Minnesota was one of the scariest. Minnesota beat Dallas, which is one of it's like you keep having a bigger fish coming and eating a bigger fish, but that's a serious division to come out of pretty much unscathed. So, and I'm not discrediting Minnesota. I thought they played their hearts out. I think they're one of the best teams this year. So that just shows how unreal Colorado is. Kind of feels like it's just theirs to lose at this point, not just this series, but the whole playoffs. It really feels like if anyone could beat them, it would be a huge upset. I don't know what you think about where they stand after that series.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I was very disappointed. Like, obviously, I'm happy for Colorado. Like, I'm low-key a Colorado fan, but I was rooting for Minnesota because I had them in my office pools and in my bracket. But I really think that Minnesota got shafted with the Joel Eriksson injury. I feel like that was super impactful for everything. Their specialty teams, their special teams. I think their power plays took a hit. I think their PK took a hit. And I just think their 5-on-5 center depth took a hit. Like, they were not a deep center team already. So the fact that you lose your best center for the whole series against a team like Colorado is just like even more disastrous. And I really think that came into play. I think the game 4 that they choked was the dagger. If they could have gone back and tied that 2-2 the series, it would have been so different.
No, that was what got them eliminated. The one they choked. That was game 5. You're talking about the one where they were up 3-0.
Game 4 they also choked. I'm pretty sure. Let me go check. Will you talk?
Okay, yeah, but game 5 was the one they really choked, where they were up 3-0 in the first.
Yeah.
And then I went to bed because the games are late. So I went to bed. It was 3-1 Minnesota with about 4 minutes left. And then I wake up to them being eliminated 4-3 in overtime. Crazy. But I think that obviously it sucks losing your number 1 seed. And that's a big reason / excuse why you perform like that. But I think it also just highlights the glaring hole in their roster construction, which was center depth. They knew it. They knew it going into the trade deadline. I think they tried to address it, but they didn't try hard enough. I don't know what they thought was going to happen, but when you have teams like Colorado out there, look, it got a magnifying glass got put on it because their number 1 C went out, and they were left with Ryan Hartman as their number 1 C and Danil Yurov as their 2nd C, and who even knows 3rd and 4th C. It's just it's not a recipe for success. Center is arguably the most important position after goaltending. So I mean, every position's important, obviously, but you look at their defense and it's unreal with Quinn Hughes and Faber. You look at their wingers, Kaprizov, Boldy, Zuccarello, right? You're thinking, oh, this team's unreal. You look at their center depth. Oh, Eriksson, great. Hartman, he's a solid. I'd say he's a 5C, probably more of a 3C, honestly.
He's a 3C that can really step up when you need him to.
Exactly. But on a true contender that's winning the cup, he should be your 3C, not a 2C. So, and then Yurov's a rookie. You're hoping he can grow into 2C or something like that, but he's not there yet. And the fact that that's what you went into the playoffs with, if you make that swing for Quinn Hughes, I feel like you got to make a swing for a center at the deadline. And so it's easy to say in hindsight, right? If they won, this wouldn't even be a topic of conversation. So I'll try and check myself on that. But I feel like it's just such a glaring hole in their roster, and it came to bite them with that injury. And also your number 1 C, the only arguably top 6 C on your entire team, is super squishy. Right? Is this like this is not the first time he's gotten injured. It's not the first time this year. It's not the first time in the last couple of years. So how do you base your entire playoff hopes, your entire center depth on a guy who very often is out of your lineup?
I think they tried to make a move for Robert Thomas, if I remember correctly, and it was like Wallstead plus something else, and it got turned down. Listen, Gustafsson would have been good enough to accommodate not having Wallstead, because Wallstead was really good these playoffs, but having a Robert Thomas in your lineup obviously would have been great. I was thinking of game 4. They didn't choke, but it was like 2-2 until like halfway through the period, and then and then they let in like a kind of scrappy Parker Kelly goal,
Yeah,
and
and then it
then
was two empty
it was
netters.
yeah,
Yeah.
two empty netters. So if they would have won that one 2-2, I feel like it would have been a big difference. But at the end of the day, I think it was like I don't want to put it all on the injuries, but definitely impactful. But it also just goes to show that like you need everything to go right against Colorado to be competitive. So it's gonna be interesting. But honestly, like I do like this Vegas team, and we can transition to
Yeah.
the Vegas portion of it. How they beat Anaheim pretty decisively at the end, and exactly what I said was gonna happen has happened. And you and Jake, you were a little bit too optimistic, I think, about Anaheim and their lack of experience, I think. And Vegas just kind of like showed them that we've been here before. We do this. It's not your time yet.
Yeah, I think the same reason that I put Vegas over Utah is the reason why I should have put Vegas over Anaheim.
That's what I
It's
said.
yeah, I mean, look, but you put Utah and then you put
I
Vegas,
know,
and
but
so
I
you
learned my
learned.
lesson.
Yeah, exactly. I unlearned my lesson, but no, pretty much both times I was rooting for the team that was against Vegas. I'm not one
Yeah.
of those people who has a huge thing against Vegas. I just find both Anaheim and Utah way more exciting young
I was
teams,
rooting
and
for them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I was rooting for both of them, but at the end of the day, yes, Vegas kind of had a really sloppy second half of the season, let's say, up until Tortorella took over. But it's still Vegas. Their
Yep.
lineup is still unreal. Carter Hart coming in and playing like prime Carter Hart
Hmm.
is obviously a huge boon to them. One of their biggest weaknesses has been for a while has been their goaltending. Aiden Hill
Yep.
got them a Stanley Cup, but he's not a Stanley Cup winning goalie. Does that make
No.
sense? You know, like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had one good
No,
run,
he's good. He
but
was like a Darcy Kemper when Colorado won the cup. It was like they
yeah,
won not
exactly.
because of Aiden Hill, but like he was good enough to get
He
it
did what
done.
he needed to do to win the cup, but he didn't win them the cup. And then after that, he's went back to playing how he normally plays.
Yeah.
And now they got a Carter Hart who's playing at a higher level than Hill
Hmm.
would be playing, essentially. And that's just a huge boost for them. I think the Mark Stone injury is huge. I
Hmm.
think Colorado's a juggernaut. So, but before we get into that again, a huge props to Anaheim for what they've done. And
Yep.
honestly, we've been saying, I think all year that we view Anaheim as 1 year behind the Habs in terms of their
Hmm.
rebuild. But last year, Habs only made it, they only won one playoff game. Anaheim
Yep.
made it to round 2 this time. So I
Hmm.
still view it that way. But Anaheim's, looking even better than the Habs were last year. So I think they have a very bright future. I don't think there's any Anaheim fan. It's the type of loss where it sucks because you made it that far and it just
Yeah.
sucks to lose. You want to go all the way every year. But it's also after the dust settles a bit, you can look back and just see what an incredible season you had and how you exceeded expectations. It's the same cope that I was giving myself when I thought the Habs were going to lose last night. I was
Yeah.
saying, once I get out of the, like the emotional part of this and I get over the loss, we did have an incredible season, But
Hmm.
so I view it the same for Anaheim, and yeah, but Vegas is a very serious contender. What was the stat? I think they've made the conference finals something like 4 or 5 times out of the 8 years
Yeah.
of their existence, or something like that. It's
It's
truly
very impressive.
impressive and incredible what they've managed to do. I know it was the first expansion draft in a while, so they had a bit more favorable
Hmm.
rules than, let's say, Seattle or
Yeah.
yeah, that Seattle did. But I still think that to keep that going for 8 years is really impressive. And yeah, but at the end of the day, I still think Colorado takes it. I have
Hmm.
Colorado in 6 as my prediction. I just don't see how anyone could overcome this Colorado team.
I have Colorado in 7. So listen, we're both on Team Colorado here. I think it's the easy team to pick given the performances we've seen and how strong they've looked. But there's still a gut feeling of mine that I've had like throughout these whole playoffs is that they were too dominant in the regular season and everything to win the Stanley Cup. I feel like those teams never win it. Always something always happens, and I feel like this is where something might happen. I would not be surprised if Vegas ends up being like somehow the perfect counter to what they've been doing, and Colorado has I don't want to say goalie question, but they've kind of had to rotate recently. And if Vegas makes them rotate even more and they're struggling to find any consistency there, that could be an issue. And what we've seen from, the Dorofeevs and the Mitch Marners as of late is starting to get a little dangerous.
Yeah.
The Mark Stone injury might be the one thing that holds them back early in the series, but if he can come back, I think this Vegas team honestly could manage to somehow be the perfect counter for Colorado. But at the end of the day, like I'm not betting my house on it. And if I did have to bet my house, I'd probably bet on Colorado. So
Yeah. Did you see that Mitch Marner goal, the breakaway in the last game
yeah,
versus
and
Anaheim,
he
through
did
his
something that did
legs?
not seem like physically possible. Like it's just
Unreal.
insane.
He's leading the playoffs in points. He's
Yeah,
just killing it. Crazy what happens to a guy when he gets out of Toronto. But
yeah,
no, it's honestly unbelievable what he's doing. It never made sense to me why he would disappear in the playoffs for Toronto, because you have these guys, like, obviously there's the whole the whole kind of reputation and all that, the
Hmm.
whole storyline, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is a guy who's putting up 100+ points every season. And so, I mean, it reminds me a bit of Eichel getting out of
Yeah.
Buffalo and then on Vegas also, right? Topping off
Hmm.
and they win a cup. So they're looking really good. And did you see that whole thing with them refusing to talk to the
Yeah.
media? They lost their second round pick and
Yeah. And got
Tortorella
a
got fined
fine.
100K, and then they
Yeah.
appealed and the NHL left it the same. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
That's a
crazy.
that's a very big punishment,
A second
and
round
it's
pick is
sending a
legit.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get when you get torts as a coach. I guess you're gonna have to deal with stuff like that. I think they're pretty pissed about it, and I think, listen, I don't know in the offseason if something happens there, but it's still Vegas being Vegas, I guess, and they truly find a way to be the villains of the NHL. But I want to ask you, who you gonna be rooting for in this series?
It's tough because if I'm thinking from the point of view of a Habs fan, right?
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, assuming the Habs can beat Carolina, who would I rather face in the finals?
Hmm.
I'd rather face Vegas.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I would be rooting for Vegas. If I look at it just, blank, which team do I like better? I prefer Colorado. I just like the players on it better.
Hmm.
But I don't have anything against either one of these teams, even though Vegas is the classic villains of the NHL. I think it's going to be really good hockey. As usual, any series the Habs are not involved in, I'm rooting it goes to 7, game
Yeah.
7 overtime. Unfortunately, that just seems to happen to the Habs these days, but not the other series. But yeah, no, I'd probably be rooting for Colorado as a neutral. But since the Habs are still in it, maybe Vegas because that's who I'd rather play against. So I don't know what you
I,
think.
I feel like we're gonna have a difficult time whether it's Vegas or Colorado. So honestly, even as a Habs fan, I don't really care like who wins. And I'm just looking at this of like who I want to root for to win the games. And I've always liked Colorado as a team. I like their players better, but I'm gonna be rooting for Vegas just because I want to see juggernauts fall. I want to
Yeah,
see the teams that everybody thinks are gonna win not win.
yeah.
And that just means that I have to root for Vegas here. So it's gonna be fun. I know we have some Colorado fans in the Discord, so please don't hate me. I'm gonna be happy for you guys if you guys win. But if I had to root for a team, I just like seeing the best team lose. I don't know, like the
Yeah,
team that everybody thinks is the best team lose.
I
So
actually
that's
have.
why.
I've made a couple friends here who are big Colorado fans, so I'm gonna
Oh,
say
there you go.
Colorado so I don't get flamed.
Yeah, there you go. Or just make sure they don't listen to this episode or they cut that before this part.
Yeah, exactly. Cover your ears for this part.
Yeah, but also like I didn't have the chance to say like props to Anaheim as well. I think they're gonna have a bright future ahead of them, and that division is looking pretty spicy for next year. I feel like it's
I think
going to
there's a
be.
big overhaul coming. I think
Yeah.
there's a changing of the guard. The future is now, old man. That whole
Hmm.
thing. I think the top 3 next year is gonna be Vegas, Anaheim, and San Jose.
That'd be crazy. I mean, the era of the Edmonton, Vegas, LA trio is probably
LA
over,
is
right?
done. They're not making the playoffs for a couple years at least.
LA's done. We know Vancouver's done. We know Calgary's done. I
Yeah.
think Seattle's gonna want to be competitive,
Seattle at
but
best is a wild card, but they'll probably fall short. And Edmonton, I think, will be a wild card.
yeah, unless they trade for a goalie like we always talk about. But they already traded for their goalie, so maybe
Yeah,
they
exactly. They have their guy.
just give one more offseason for Tristan Jarry, and I'm sure he'll be back and
Yeah,
on
exactly.
all firing on all cylinders.
All right. So, what does the rest of your bracket look like? This segment is getting shorter and shorter because we're
I
almost at
know.
the end here. But who do you got rest of the way?
I mean, listen, obviously Habs, obviously not obviously, but if I had to pencil in it right now, I got Vegas Habs final.
Wow.
And
Okay.
Habs winning the Stanley Cup in 7. Once again,
Wow.
still going back to the well.
I like it. I've got Habs Colorado, and yeah, we'll just keep going Habs in 7. That seems to be what
Yeah.
they want to do. They want to play as much hockey as possible, and they want to give us as much entertainment for as long into the summer as they can. So I appreciate it.
I also really appreciate it. I was honestly prepared before the game yesterday to just be like, I was like, what is my life gonna be about now? Like I
Yeah,
don't
I
have
know.
these games to root for and stuff like that. Like the city's gonna feel deflated.
Yeah,
So I'm happy I get at least like another week or 10 days to root for my favorite hockey team.
yeah.
And listen, we talked about everything. We're gonna start wrapping it up, but I do want to say I feel like next maybe as you're listening to this episode next week, we'll start doing more off-season content that's besides just the Stanley Cup talk. Maybe we'll talk about some non-hockey stuff, like some food or some movies or some TV or other life stuff. I don't know. You guys tell
Yeah.
us what you guys want us to
Honestly,
talk
if you're in the
about.
Discord, just shoot us some recommendations
Hmm.
for random topics you want to hear us talk about in the off season, and we'll have some fun with it.
By the time this episode go live, maybe I'll have a post in the Discord asking everybody what they want to see from us, if they want to see some more fun content and what we can do there. But you can expect some more content from us in the off season, and hopefully more hockey content as the Habs go all the way and win the Stanley Cup.
Bingo.
Thanks everybody for listening. We really appreciate your time. Hopefully we did not annoy anybody with our Habs talk too much. We're just happy our team made it this far and we get to root for them even more. Like I said earlier, please drop us a follow on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your stuff, and on YouTube if you're watching. Thank you. Even though Jakey's not here, we really appreciate you looking at the both of us. And make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, and I guess we'll see you on the next one. And that's my cue to say, take it away, Ernie.
Ba-ba-da-bow-bow, Banger Management Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Woo!
Go Habs, go! Woo!
Ça sent la coupe.
Ça sent la coupe. It's gotta go 7, right?
It's gotta.